The Nats may have suffered a heartbreaking loss in the playoffs, again, but at least Metro stayed open late enough Thursday night to let fans watch it happen. After weeks of will they or won't they speculation over whether the Washington Nationals would pay Metro to stay open late on the night of the Game 5 of the National League Division Series, comporting with the transit agency's new $100,000 per hour price tag for extra service hours, it appeared on Thursday morning that no deal had been made, and transit-dependent fans would be on their own. Then, just before noon, game-goers were offered a reprieve from an unexpected source. Exelon, the parent company of Pepco, had agreed to pay for Metro stay open an extra hour until 12:30 a.m. Friday. Its 11th-hour corporate sponsorship came at the request of Mayor Muriel Lee Bowser. After 1130 p.m., riders would only be able to enter the system at the stations closest to the stadium: Navy Yard Ballpark, Waterfront, L'Enfant Plaza and Capitol South. Unsurprisingly, the announcement got positive feedback from riders grateful to be able to take the train to the 8 p.m. game. But the Nats' nail-biter against the Chicago Cubs ran long. Fans started realizing there was no way that 9 innings would wrap up before 1130 p.m. Then, Metro officials made a last-minute decision they would add another half-hour to service for riders. Metro couldn't push service beyond that, spokesman Dan Stessel said, in part because of legally mandated restrictions on the number of consecutive hours that safety-critical employees like train operators and dispatchers can work. And so, as the Nats tried to fight back from a one-run deficit in the 9th inning, the stadium full of fans stayed put. And though the Nats ultimately failed to get another run, ending their playoff bid in disappointingly early fashion, at least no one could blame the loss on the trains. Fans may recall that, last year, Metro caught flack for playing a contributory, if tenuous, role in the Nats' season-ending loss. According to Metro spokeswoman Sherry Lee, approximately 7,000 people took rides on Metro after 1130 p.m. Thursday night. Nationals Park seats about 40,000 people, so it's likely that a little less than one-fifth of game-goers ended up taking Metro home. Metro rarely gets praise from the region's rightfully aggrieved riders. But many of those riders seemed to view the last-minute decision to keep the trains running for the Nats as a legitimate gesture of goodwill from the challenge-prone transit agency. Still, in the haze of post-game disappointment, there are still larger questions about how Metro's one night of after-hours service went down. In some ways, it seemed like a smart move by the Nationals to refuse forking over $100,000 for extra post-game transit service. They may have assumed, in this case, correctly, that someone else would swoop in and pay to keep the system open. And though many fans expressed frustration that Metro hadn't planned to keep the trains open from the get-go, others have pushed back against the idea that Nats fans had the God-given right to taxpayer-funded public transit at the end of a game with tickets that cost more than many of the region's residents can afford. As Prince Frederick resident Charles Smalls told the Washington Post's Frederick Kunkel on Thursday, the taxpayers have enough on their plate. If the teams want to pay the extra $100,000 an hour, then so be it. But don't put it on the taxpayers to fund all these extraordinary efforts that the owners, billionaires, of these teams, can pay themselves if they want to give their customers extra satisfaction. When asked at a Metro board meeting whether the Nationals were ungrateful for refusing to help foot the bill for the cost of late-night trains, Jack Evans, chairman of the Metro board, and a member of the D.C. Council, seemed to accept the team's stance. Are the Nationals ungrateful? I think their position on Metro is that, we're not going to pay for late-night service, we believe that's a regional thing and Metro ought to take care of it. And that's their position. I'm not going to argue with it, Evans D. Ward 2 said. They've been very clear for all the years they've been in existence. That's where they are. So we have to find an alternative to do it, Evans continued. And I applaud Mayor Bowser for making this all happen. Stessel pointed out on Friday that Metro could have run better post-game service if officials had been given more advance notice that there would be someone to fund the extra hours. Requests for extended service usually benefit from several days of planning and special employee scheduling, Stessel said. The request for late-night service last night came in that morning, and was implemented with virtually no notice to our employees. Train operators who thought they were working until 11:30 p.m. found out when they got to work that they'd be working well beyond